Welcome back to Cosmic Comics. I've stayed away from most of the larger cosmic entities so far, but it's time for this channel to dive deep. And I don't think anybody will complain about this detour while I finish up research for my next promised video. In the hierarchy of cosmic entities, there is only one who truly stands alone, who stands separate from eternity and death, one for whom the High Tribunal's judgments mean nothing. One cosmic entity that existed before the multiverse, before the first firmament. The only entity that will exist once everything we know and hate and love is gone. One whose name is often whispered, but seldom shown. One whom, even if he entered the cosmic time stream, catastrophe would occur. I'm not certain if even the one above all has any power over this particular entity. To be above all, one needs to have something to be above. And before there was anything, and after everything is gone, there was, and will be, Oblivion. In the Iceman limited series, we're told that everything springs from Oblivion's loins, and everything returns to Oblivion's womb. In the nothingness that can exist between each iteration of the Marvel Universe, Oblivion is there. Oblivion sees reality metaphorically as a world of dreams. For him, the multiverse is a river that can be dammed, reversed, rerouted. From his perspective, one reality is no more real than the other. Therefore, every reality within the multiverse that exists within eternity exists on equal footing for him. 616, the Prime Universe, Earth S, the New Universe, the Cancerverse. To Oblivion, these multiverses do exist, but is one dream any more real than any other? Do dreams continue to exist after you wake up, or only the memory? Can we remember every dream that was? It's time to break this down. We're told in the Ultimates 2, issue number 6, that in the beginning, there was only one universe, and this universe called itself the First Firmament. The First Firmament claims that it was perfect, but the First Firmament was alone. But it wasn't truly alone. Oblivion was there because everything, all existence, came out of Oblivion. The First Firmament was birthed from Oblivion's loins. One thing that is clear within the context of the Eternity War story arc is that the First Firmament wants to exist. Before it came into existence, there was no time, because there was nothing to measure time by. Outside of time, outside of physical matter, outside of everything, there is Oblivion. The physical forms we see cosmic entities such as Oblivion, Infinity, Death, Eternity, the Living Tribunal, and all the other cosmic entities take on are known as manifest bodies, and these are given to them by the cosmic entity Anthropomorpho within the dimensions of manifestations to enable the abstract concepts they represent to communicate with physical beings. I will delve into manifest bodies and Anthropomorpho in detail once I get around to covering Quasar issue number 37, but that's a long ways off. In a situation where nothing exists, Oblivion, an abstract concept, has no need for a physical form because there is nothing to communicate with. The First Firmament was the first thing to exist outside of Oblivion. It was perfect, but it was alone and lonely. So the First Firmament created life for the first time. This is amazing. It wasn't the one above all who created the first life. It was the First Firmament, and the first life it made was celestial servants. The First Firmament also refers to this life as my servants, my toys. The First Firmament continues. Soon they had made servants of their own. They were clever little pets. They were industrious in their worship of me, their need for my favor. The First Firmament named these beings aspirants, and with them he was pleased. The aspirants are always represented as being black and white. There were others, colored rebels. These colored rebels are what we know today as the Celestials. As far as I know, Marvel has never revealed where the division between the aspirants and Celestials came from, but both are forms of Celestials. Or, for that matter, why did some Celestials end up becoming colored after a certain point in time? I don't know. For whatever reason, the colored celestials had no interest in aspiring to worship the first firmament. Instead, they wanted to create life that would change, evolve, and eventually gain the power of universes, and for the universe to evolve with them. The first firmament, for unknown reasons, saw this as a sacrilege and interpreted their actions as a kind of madness. Thus began the Celestial War. This war ended when the colored celestials detonated weapons that shattered the first firmament to pieces. Hundreds of universes ended up splitting off from the first firmament, and the first firmament was afraid of being completely destroyed, or at the very least, not being capable of preserving its own uniqueness, so it fled. In the space it left behind, those hundreds of universes reformed into a new being, a second cosmos that was the first multiverse. When the seventh multiverse ended, and the eighth began, the first firmament attacked a weakened eternity and placed him in chains. Then the Maker, thinking that he was healing eternity, actively began working to combine the multiverse into a single version of eternity, a single universe instead of a multiverse. I bring all this up because, as all this is going on, Galactus the Lifebringer points out what the Maker and High Evolutionary couldn't comprehend. Even death may die, and only Oblivion can be victor here. Within the Marvel Universe, we see over and over again characters that defeat death or return from death, but even death has no power when it comes to the realm of Oblivion. When the multiverse ends, when the first firmament is no more, we shall all return from whence we came, Oblivion. If the one above all is the light, then Oblivion is its counterpart on the other side of the scale, the embodiment of eternal darkness. One last note on all this. I have to step back and point out a little bit of irony from a biblical perspective. In this origin story, the colored celestials, whom we would usually think of as the good guys in this case, are closer to the devil and demons cast out of heaven than being any kind of angelic host. The first firmament was happy being worshipped, having a universe that was him, that he could then further shape and design, basking in its own perfection. It was the colored celestials that rocked the boat, or should I say ark, by disturbing the natural order of things, by rebelling against their creator. The aspirants who unquestionably worshipped the first firmament and were in constant need of its favor would be closer to angels. To carry the biblical analogy a little further, all was good in the universe until the first firmament created life that could think for itself, which eventually led to sacrilegious thought, just as if the God of the Abrahamic religions hadn't created man and given him the power to choose to sin by eating the fruit from a particular tree, sacrilegious thought would not have occurred there as well. A little food for thought to finish this episode out. Thanks for watching. Feel free to hit any of the buttons below. I'm out.